Hello everyone and welcome to another talking and sit down video. I will do a little disclaimer before. I would not say that I'm a good language learner at all. Obviously, I'm a native German person and I learned English in school, and I was very blessed that after I finished school, I could grasp the English language so much more with watching movies, and also living abroad for 4 months in the US, which helped me also a lot, and having international friends, which I talk English every day, surely helped a lot with keeping my English fresh. But also I learned French in school, and apart from understanding, I can't really reply much in French. I can order food or anything, but that's it. Yeah, I think 2008 I was interested in Japanese, so I learned 1 or 2 years I learned Japanese, but struggled a lot with the kanji in the end, because they really got a little bit overwhelming. So when I started to learn Korean, I think I already had this kind of interest in Asian countries when I started learning Japanese. So learning Korean was just oh, let's learn a new language. Maybe it's different, it sounds really nice. When I got into music and everything, it's a very lyrical language. So, but it's I think my 4th or 5th year of learning Korean, and pretty much until last September I didn't make so much progress into it. And then slowly I started to find ways and research for myself what are ways that I could learn. Some people might gather a lot of information just by listening. These learners are the ones that do really well watching a lot of dramas and slowly grasping the language in that sense. This really didn't work for me at all. There are some people that not only listening but also need a visual impulse. It's the audio visual learners that have to actually see sentence structures and everything too. And then we come to the last type. Well, there are actually way more learning types and way more ways to learn, but there's another big one, and this is the haptical type. It sounds very strange when you say haptical, because hapticals touching, and you will think yeah, how can I touch language? But it's basically not about the touching itself. It's more the whole process of you hear an information and you in some way use it. For me, for example, if I take the example for Vocab, for some people just the seeing and reviewing helps them a lot. So I have an app on my phone where I do flashcards, and it helps in some sense to get them in some way in my memory. But the best results I'm actually doing when I'm writing them down. And I'm writing them down on physical flashcards, and I review these flashcards also every day, not just with reading out loud, but also I lay it on, and maybe it's English, maybe it's German, I don't know, because I mix a lot. And I see the German or the English word, and then I have to write it down in Korean. And so I get the spelling right for once, and also I have to physically do the process of writing. And doing the physical process of writing helps me a lot to memorize in the end the word as itself, and then in the end use it in my conversations and everything. So if you want me to put it in the comments down below, and I will do a video about my personal way how I do vocab. When you have a lot of vocab, you still don't know how to use it. So what I also do is studying grammar. I personally my favorite resources. I do textbooks too, and I learned through 2 types of textbooks while doing courses. But with self-learning, my two favorite resources are Talk to Me in Korean, which is like everybody is saying Talk to Me in Korean. They always have an audio file and a PDF, and I do it like this, that I listen to the audio file while I go through the PDF and I write down everything that I need to know from that. Basically, I'm copying a lot from the PDF and write it down in the way that I would understand it, or if it's already written in a way that I understand it, I just copy it. And my other favorite source is Korean Grammar and Muse. I just recently actually bought the beginner and the intermediate book, and now I'm reviewing right now the beginner level because I want to be like really safe in the beginner phase so I can move up to intermediate. The Korean Grammar and Muse book to me is very well organized. So as I said before, for somebody that needs like a good organization and a good visual organization of all the key points of grammar, buy this book. Like it's a total recommendation from my side. When it comes to language learning, most of languages are divided into like 4 different parts. This is like the reading, listening, writing and speaking. So let's move up to what can we do to improve like the 4 different levels and the 4 different skills that we need to conquer language. So we have the listening part first. What can we do to improve our listening? Many people watch dramas. With dramas, you have to be aware that it might be situations that you're not really come into unless you progress a little bit and make friends in the country and everything. So a lot of these conversations maybe not be able to use for yourself. So maybe it's not the best thing to start with drama, but just to listen to the language and hear the sound of the wordings, it's totally fine. Again, like variety shows is also nice to hear the sound. And actually I heard, like I'm not a big variety fan in that sense, but I heard like that people learn from variety much more than from dramas. What I also like to do, and what I think is really good for beginner, if you have a textbook and the textbook comes with a CD, is just listen, just like bring your audio files, download them onto your computer or download them onto your phone and listen to it whenever you can, like when you clean at home, when you drive to school or to university or to your job. I do this a lot, that I just listen over and over to the conversations that are on my level while I'm like traveling through the city with a public transportation. What also is important for listening, and this is the reason why I like textbooks as a listening practice, is you have female and male voices. Like just don't, it's important to not rely on one kind of gender, or if you're like a woman, you maybe want to listen more to a female speaker, and if you're a male, you may want to listen more to a male speaker, because for Korean that they really speak differently. A very good source if you're into K-pop is V-Live actually, because when your idol is doing something and like doing a radio show or anything, or just like a mukbang, listening over and over to one of the broadcasts, maybe around like 20 minutes also, can help you like getting aware of like more words or word constructions that you may not listen or maybe not heard before in your textbook. So for the writing part, what I'm doing, and the only thing that I'm doing right now, is doing journaling, which sounds like very complicated, but to be honest, like the sentences that I'm using are super easy, and it's like really a very basic kind of diary. It's really just like, oh, today I was eating this and this, and the weather was really nice, and so I did go out and I did some stuff, and I did go to the bank, like really basic basic stuff, but I like try to write down at least like one page. And when I meet like with my Korean friend, we always like exchange and like correct each other. It would be nice to have like corrections, but if you don't have like a Korean friend or anything, there are also possibilities like if you tweet "talk to me in Korean," they help you finding solutions with some things you might not know. Also, there's this app called Hi Native that helps you finding information or natural way of saying certain things. The reading part. So for the reading part, what I mostly do is just like reviewing textbooks, and I always make sure to read out loud, to read everything out loud. I'm like, even in English or in German, I'm a really slow reader. I'm not a good reader. I struggle a lot with reading out loud, even in my native language. And so for me, even if I'm super shy about it, I try to read everything out loud. When you go to more of an advanced level, you can start like to maybe buy little kids books and try to read one page at a time and write down all the vocab that you may not know before. And this is a good writing practice. And actually, when I started to learn the language, I read everything in Hangul that I could. Yes, and now we come to the speaking level. I mentioned before that I have a Korean friend, or actually we became friends over a language exchange, and this like actually helped a lot for me to get more comfortable speaking with the language. If you really don't have somebody, there's always the option to make friends online, of course. Just be very careful with that, because there are a lot of like freaks outside. Or what I also always do is like make up little scenarios, and like it's like shower conversations when you speak to yourself, or it doesn't have to be necessarily in a shower, but when you sing in the shower, you can also do conversations nobody will listen to you. So what I'm doing is like trying to speak to myself and trying to make up like different kinds of scenarios and different kinds of things that I want to say. And while I'm like doing this back and forth, not only like saying but also answering, doing these conversations about a topic that I just chose, I have like this moment where I'm like, well, I don't know how to say this. So I get reminded, I get stuck there, and I get reminded that I need to maybe review this and this part, or I have to look up how to say this and this, so I can continue this kind of conversation with myself. That's for the speaking part. And now what really helped me the most for somebody that doesn't really learn is really planning, sitting down and writing down what did you achieve and what was your plan also for the week. And I have like different kinds of lists where I make sure like I do level 1 of this and this in that week. Now I want to review level 3, or want to review this and this book, because I'm still not at the point where I want to be. And always when I review, is like I don't only go to the grammar part, but also try to make my own sentences, so it makes sense for myself. It's nice to see it written down, and it gives you the motivation to continue, and also you see how much you already did in like a short amount of time. Another part like is really to motivate yourself, and what I'm doing is I don't want to do always the same kind of thing. So I try to use every different skill and every different resource as abundantly as possible. If you have a good motivation, it would keep you through the phases where you think like, oh, I'm not learning anything anymore. Motivation is key. I think like this is a lot of talk for certain things. If you want to have like a breakdown, I could do a breakdown in how I study my vocab or what I do for grammar. Well, I mostly explained what I do for grammar. Like what kind of textbook are you using and how do I like these kind of textbooks, or how do I find my learning type, or videos like these. Just leave me in the comments something interesting that I said that you might want to have more information of, or what are other ways to motivate yourself. You can ask me everything, tell me in the comment section below, and hopefully you like the video and hopefully it's not too long, and we will see each other with the next whatever topic it will be with something soon. Bye bye.